Thank you all for joining us. We are here for Room for Conversations, and I'm so happy to have you all here with us today and at this great festival, Atlanta Design Festival. Are you all having a great time so far at Atlanta Design Festival? Been catching some great design? Shout out to Elaine for all of our hard work, for putting it all together, and Bernard, everyone who helped us, and everyone here at this panel today. I'm so happy to be speaking with you all. And today we have an amazing topic that's near and dear to my heart, experiential design. So I'm not so sure if you all are familiar with experiential design, but chances are you are, because it's all around us, it's everywhere, it's something that you experience in your daily lives. And to me, it's something that has moved me for so long because, every day you just realize that life can be better with a little bit of an experience, Everything can get kind of mundane at times, but then if you just try to look at the bright side, look at the fun, things brighten up. And that's what experience has done for me, and I'm happy to be speaking about experiential design today with you all. So without further ado, let's get into this presentation.
Test.
So here's how we're going to break it down today. There's three things that I feel like are very important parts of this conversation. And it's emotion, which is how you feel, obviously, and entropy, which is kind of some of the things that kind of miss the translation of the emotions in experiential design, and then experience itself. So let's get into it. First, we're going to introduce our panelists, and I would like to go around in a circle, just so you know who everybody is and you can get familiar with them because they're amazing designers in their own right. So let's start off over here on this one. On this side, you've already seen James, but he's back again, and we're happy to have him.
Thank you. For those who weren't able to make the talk earlier, my name is James Williams III. I'm an interdisciplinary artist and designer based in Atlanta. And yeah, I don't know how deep you wanted to go into the bio, but I know
Cool.
How's everybody doing? My name is Mohammed Umrani. I'm a mixed media artist based out of Atlanta, of course. That's pretty much it.
Hello, everyone. Testing.
Is your mic on?
it sounds like it's on.
I think it is.
Yeah, we got a lot of mics.
Testing. Okay. Hey, everyone. My name is Hailey Wilkins. I'm originally from South Carolina. I've been in Atlanta for about 10 years. I'm an architectural designer by trade from Kennesaw State University, and I've been working in architecture for about 6 years now.
Perfect. My name is Brandon Broadus. I am with Residence ATL, which is an emerging luxury retail club here in Atlanta, Georgia. And, we produce a lot of great experiences around the city and have a lot of great products. So come check us out.
All right, I'm Lisa Lee. I'm an artist and designer here in Atlanta. I've been here for 18 years, but I'm always in and out. I'm currently based here now.
Hi, I am Alexandra Freeman. I work for Soho House, Cities Without Houses for Atlanta, Charleston, and DC. I just kind of have my hands in a lot of creative things outside of that as well.
Perfect. There we go. Oh yeah, there's me, there's Hailey. Okay, let's get into this. So, what is experiential design? I kind of want to ask you all this question first. Who can give me a good example or answer for this question? Was any volunteers? What do you believe that experiential design is? You, sir.
Experiential design is a way that brands communicate their story to the clients and hope that the client KPI mechanism for a client, but it's a story and emotional selling point for us.
100%. And I think a great thing that you kind of touched on was it's a feeling too, you know? And that's something that's always resonated with me is like certain design can make you feel something. And in my opinion, the best design makes you feel something immediately. So, you know, let's touch on that topic first, feeling. It's also called emotion. So, we're gonna get into these topics here. First one being emotion. And we're kind of gonna go around the room a little bit, you know, ask our panelists some of these questions and get their opinions. First one, we're gonna start over here. James, what was your first memory of experiential design and how did it make you feel?
I would say, and it might be a little abstract, but I think it kind of is part of, you know, just like a childhood experience, like going to McDonald's and, you know, you go in and it's like there's a whole world in there. You got your, you know, your playpen or your jungle gym or what have you. You got the toys and the Happy Meal. You got the people with the outfits on. You know, I mean, their costumes. You got, you know, this whole world that's kind of like built together, you know, through you know, communicating the brand DNA. And it's like, as a young person, like, I just remember like just picking apart like, all right, well, this is connected to this and this is doing this and this, you know, just like creating this web to like further understand like my relation and proximity to what this was. I was a weird kid too, so like if it seems like I was overthinking it, like I definitely probably was overthinking it, but that's how my brain works. But yeah, like going to like McDonald's and places like that that really put money into that.
Okay. Lisa, what about you? What about you? What's your first experience with experiential design?
Let me see.
Putting you on the spot.
I would say so. I would say maybe 12 years ago. I know there's something before this, but I would say maybe 12 years ago, I was in New York, and I remember there was the long line. I don't know exactly where we were, but it just looked really interesting. Like, we got to get in this line. I don't know what people are doing right now, but it looks really cool. There was some lighting coming from the building, so we stood in line for like an hour. We go through this like space where it's very like intentional, and so you're kind of walking through the rooms. Immediately met with like smells and colors and touching on everything essentially. We go through the entire thing, takes about 45 minutes. It was pretty fun, and then I realized that we were in a Glade candle activation. And I remember being so angry. I felt tricked. But it worked though.
No, that's a good one. I definitely like that.
Because everybody was buying, you know, you were leaving through the gift shop and it worked. So I remember thinking, oh, that was my kind of introduction into like these activations and pop-ups, and I was angry at first, and then I realized how smart it was. But
I really love that, and you know, because it kind of alludes to the next thing I'm about to ask, in the sense that it makes you act. You know, a great experience can make you do something. And it makes me want to go into my next question for Mo. When did you decide to act on your ability for design?
When did I decide to act? When I saw that my audience was connected to the actual art piece that I made, and just seeing their emotions, seeing how they just interact, I just leaned right in.
I love that. Were you scared?
Of course. I mean, it's all part about, you know, being a creative is, you know, trying to figure out what works, you know what I mean? And just maybe accepting failure.
True.
Yeah.
It's a process,
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Okay. Anybody have anything else to describe on like what got you into act? Hailey, when you were getting into architecture, what was the moment that you felt that this was what you wanted to do?
Oh.
So I didn't know that I didn't know what architecture was when I was younger. So there was a lot of things that I did throughout my childhood and a lot of things that influenced my childhood that kind of all came together. Like we talked about adolescence, our experience as children. One thing was me and my dad, we would go on a lot of bike rides. And through those bike rides, we would see these homes being built through the neighborhood, and we would go explore these homes, and he would show me he's like, hey, this is a home, like these are the studs, this is the roof, this is gonna be a bathroom one day, and I would go back home and take Legos and kind of create my vision. I didn't know what that was, so for the longest, I just thought it was art. And I took a test later on, I think in middle school, and it kind of was a test on kind of all your interests and your capabilities. And the first thing it said was architecture. And so I asked about it, and they were like, before I asked, I really Googled it, and all these buildings and visuals and movies and everything came up. And I was like, oh, it's kind of like this expression of what you're dreaming and kind of making it a reality.
That's
so
dope.
That's kind of where I kind of found architecture, was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to express and how I could create a reality from it.
I love that. So it's like almost like a happy accident, but you were expressing yourself through this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great kind of way to explore yourself through art. And it brings me to my next question is, for you, Alex, you have a great eye and amazing taste. And I've always wondered, how has art informed your perspective?
I would say, art is very subjective. It's open to the viewer and what they take away from it. And I think that I take away data and different notes from a bunch of different visual aids, whether it's a color reference or a textural reference or a feeling or, just context for how things can play together, and translate into different media outside of visual art.
100%. And do you feel that all of these mediums and contextual art has kind of created an aesthetic for you? Like, how do you feel that it's like increased your capacity for design, but also just more so informed your own perspective? Like, do you think that it is, how do you use it in your daily life?
I mean, I'm a very observant person. I see everything, all of the details. And so, there's, 37 tabs open on my laptop at all time, even more in my brain. And so I'm just constantly just going back to it, just thinking about, it just provides context outside of myself. I have my own personal taste, but I can also recognize taste in other people. It may not particularly be my style, but I'm like, you do it well, I maybe wouldn't go that Y2K, but you're wearing it and it works for you.
I love that.
And so, there's no one universal experience, and so, yeah, just referencing all of the things all of the time.
Okay, I really like that. So, that brings me to my next question around here, and we're gonna start with Lisa. What design stories have been moving you as of late?
I've been checked out.
Okay.
I don't
and that's
have an
fair.
answer to
I
that.
like that too, because I feel like that's like a mark of a real artist. Like you're locked in, And, maybe we'll ask the audience, what do you have have any of you all been inspired by some great design stories as of recent? Anyone? Oh, okay, my man right here. I like that. I really like that. Community is at the center of a lot of great design. And, it kind of goes on to our next topic here, which is, this is some info on, I forgot about, let's go back here. I want to touch on that first. Excuse me. This is some great information on James Williams, Open Studio. And we got some great experiential design from Umrani. It's beautiful things he's made. So, let's talk about entropy. This is something that's lost in translation. And, I feel like community should be at the center of a lot of great design, but unfortunately it's not. So, I want to explore with this next round of questions, what are the things that we can do to kind of address this? So, what is the biggest misconception about design? Hailey, we'll start with you.
That's a good question. I think one of the biggest misconceptions about design is that it's fast, but it's not. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of iteration and a lot of thought. And I think that's because when we are thinking about design, and you've heard it from everyone before up here, you need to think about the people, the experience, and the story that you're trying to tell. I don't think design has to be expensive. I think that's another misconception about it. I think there's a lot of different ways with community and the resources around you to be sustainable and to create proper design. But I think the biggest misconception is that you kind of create this product and you're not thinking about the bigger user, and you have to think about everybody. And in terms of everybody, that's just not the people in your age group, but the people from even babies, all the way up to elderly members. And one thing that, when I got into architecture, they didn't really teach in school, and we learned it a lot. When we start designing, we design for life safety. We design for the user experience. Our biggest job at the end of the day is to get everyone into a building and out safely. And then the experience comes after that. So I think the people at the end of the day are the number one things that you need to think about, and how easy or how they use that space and how they use design.
Okay. So, it's a strong process first. And, it makes me wonder, as, James, a multidisciplinary artist, do you prioritize the structure of your design first or the emotion? How do you go through your design process in creating?
As far as design, I'm definitely prioritizing the problem. Design, in my opinion, and a lot of other people believe that design is a space of service. If you want to blur the lines, you can, but for me, I prioritize the problem and make sure I'm meeting whatever needs, or before I get into research and inspiration and all of that. Like, I need to make sure that I understand what I'm addressing, and if I'm not, if I feel like I can create a solution for it. For instance, it's like figuring out the HDMI cord. You know what I mean? It's like really understanding what the problem is. The problem is we need to get it on the screen. You know what I mean? So. And there's multiple ways to get that done, so we didn't have to waste any more of their time. So it was like hardwire, you know what I mean? Okay. That's kind of my approach, really. I'm a analog type of guy, but I definitely prioritize the problem first, and then make sure that I start to get into like the storytelling and all the stuff like that, like after I understand, because then I have my foundation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Mo, do you feel like there's a wrong way or a right way to design? Like,
No, I don't think there's a wrong or right way, but I believe that there's principles that help us and have guidelines for what we do.
Can you elaborate on some of those?
Yeah, I mean, moral, of course, like there's so many different principles, but those are our guidelines that help us create, that have purpose, that allow us to have function.
What about the ones that are important to you?
I think the ones that are important to me are purpose, of course, function, like I just said. It has to kind of look good as well. It doesn't always have to look good, but I believe that it has to have some type of like attractiveness to it as well. But yeah, there's a lot more purposes that you just have to kind of find in your own medium.
Okay, I like that. Now, this question is for you, Alex. What do you feel will help us incorporate design into our daily lives more, make it more prevalent in our daily lives?
I think, one, people being present and actually in the space. Again, as a very observant person, I notice everything. Why is it so bright in here? Why is the music too loud? I can't discuss anything with my friend. I'm at dinner, all these little details. A lot of times we feel it, but we don't know what to attribute that feeling to. And so I think if people kind of have a certain design language or a little bit of a better understanding, the informed client is the educated client is a better client. So it's just kind of helpful to know some of these things, and then you kind of start to appreciate them more and put them into practice into your own life.
Okay, I like that. And I want to open up this question to the audience as well. What do you all feel will help make design more prevalent in our daily lives? Does anybody have some color on that?
Awareness.
Okay.
Kind of what Alex was saying, right? I think if you really pay attention, something that transformed my design language was understanding that everything around you has been designed by somebody, right? Your toothbrush, the door you open to get into your home, the key you use to get in your car, right? Like, your awareness of it lets you know that design is inherently, the chairs we're sitting in.
This is
Somebody
true.
thought about this, right? So awareness, observation, being present allows you to incorporate it more, because you don't even understand that everything you do actually is somebody else's thought of how it should be.
I
So
like
you
that.
can at any moment change what that thought is, right?
No, it's very true. They don't teach it a lot in school, but they should. And it would be great if they did. Did you all go to art class in school? Did anybody have to go to art class in school? Do you think it should be required?
I don't think it's necessarily a formal education kind of thing, too. I think the other side of that is, the people in charge of presenting spaces, opening up the businesses should, inform the experience in a way. And so I think you kind of either have to be very pared back and simple, or you go full send, and then people have no choice but to, you walk into a church, you would not speak loudly, you're humbled, you're quiet. Certain spaces, immediately you're injected with some energy, and I think you have no choice but to pay attention to some of those things. Maybe it takes a minute to process or register, but I think as designers, the intentionality and being very specific helps inform that awareness.
I love that. It's very great. Now,
I was just gonna add. I was gonna piggyback Alex and speak to like intentionality, like within your design language, within how you go about solving the problem or whatever you're actually designing. Like the intentionality should be like instant. There's some things that like it's a little. What are they called when like you find out something like after the fact or whatever? I forget what the little Easter egg. Yeah, sometimes you want to drop an Easter egg somewhere in there, but like I feel like, or maybe just my approach, like when it's dialed in, and like it's felt immediately. I could just say like some of my favorite designers, and you know their work when you see it because you feel it. And then by doing your research about them, you understand what nuances inspired this and, what led them to do this, especially looking at their work, their body of work over a course of time. So I would definitely say like the intentionality for me is like from a consumer standpoint, like that's something that I'm looking for all the time, whether, you're going into a culinary experience, an entertainment experience, you know what I'm saying? Like what is their thing? Like what are they trying to communicate and how well are they communicating it? Like that communicates like to me like, oh, they gave a fuck about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so like
true.
this, I want to spend my money here. You feel me?
100%.
So, yeah.
It's a very good point you touched on there. The intention does set the tone for everything, and it makes a huge difference. And it poses the question, what do you feel is missing that kind of like helps with that? Like what would help increase intentionality in design and awareness that we don't have now? That's what I really would like to know. Can anybody chime in on that?
I think that obviously everything we're always being perceived, things are always being shared, and so I think that has added a new layer of intention behind design, how it will be, received on your iPhone screen, and that does not always translate in real life. And so while it may look good, people will have their photo moment or it'll appear that the party is amazing, it really falls flat in real life. And so I think designers, creatives, artists have to remember that we're real people who experience things in real life in real time. And I think prioritize that. Don't worry about what the content capture is going to be like. Worry about the experience and the feeling first, and the rest kind of follows. And I think that's how you really build community and people that will follow you no matter what. Because when you go for the good picture, the next time there's a better photo op, then your picture is now falling in the algorithm, and who really cares anymore? So
that's the truth. Yeah, social media has definitely influenced the way we experience. And I definitely wanted to open that question up to the audience as well. Like, what do you all feel is missing in a lot of what she just said, in the sense of helping us experience better, be more present within the experience, and kind of be more aware? Like, I feel that there's there could be a place or, an experience that's missing that you all would like to see. Like, can anyone share something that they would like to see that's currently missing in our landscape and environment right now that they would really love to see that will help with this? Yes.
I know people have heard of third spaces.
Yes, love that.
And this whirlwind of the life that we're in, where we're just going to work and then going home, but there's no other place where we can just come home or, I don't know, just get off work and go buy a drink, because drinks are $20. You know what I'm saying? And nobody wants to spend that money anymore.
100%.
So it just really downplays the culture, and it just really puts a damper, I think, on the experiences. And it's not just the money, it's also when you work when you're in these places where they don't have the money to put into the design per se, then the design and the experience and the places, you don't want to be in those places anymore.
100%.
Right?
You feel the difference, right?
You feel the difference. It's all about interior design, architecture. It comes down to always money, what they can actually afford. But then it creates these places where you don't want to be there, and you're paying for overpriced drinks. You really just don't. So I think that's what's really missing, is places where people can just chill.
I love
and
that.
relax.
Because that's
and
the
be
truth.
in a place where you actually want to be in.
Yeah, it's very rare.
So.
Yes, I think you had something to say.
So, somewhat piggyback off that, the third spaces is just actually connecting with people. And so, yes, being present, but being able to connect with your family, with your friends, and actually having an opinion that's not influenced by the internet or social media, right? Getting back to childhood, the things, when you really like something, you liked it because you liked it.
That's the truth.
Not because everybody on the internet told you that you should like it.
Don't y'all miss that? Like it was just you. You like
I'm
this.
trying to restore the feeling.
You have to restore that feeling because after a while, it's just, you're on this hamster wheel of just being fed all of these pictures and these places and these words and these cliche statements that you don't even know what you think anymore. And so how could you even understand the fact that every single chair or water bottle was designed by someone?
Yeah.
Because you lack your own perspective of being able to really see something.
100%. It's a crazy world we're living in. But, you know, it brings me to the next topic here, which is experience. I feel like that's a through line of what we've all been saying is, you know, we need more experiences to kind of help push us through. So this next question is for Lisa. What are some ways that you incorporate experiential design into your works?
I guess, so I'm not being too specific. I think I tend to start every project I'm doing, whether it's like an art form or a design related thing. I always write down or type or however I'm doing like a deck or something, all of the senses, and I answer all the questions first. It's either like midway or somewhere in the project, not the beginning, but I always answer the questions first. So like when I'm in this space, what does it smell like? What does it feel like? You know, well, maybe not, you're not tasting.
Would you give me like a sensory, like a sensory assessment?
Yeah, because my background's interior design as far as like I graduated a couple years ago. But I went to school knowing I would get into sculpture, but I wasn't focused on teach me how to make a sculpture. It was more so contextually, how is it going to fit in a space and how is it going to live there? And I know people transport pieces all the time, but I'm just very picky about that. And so, I don't know, does that sound like a control freak?
No.
But I just really wanted to be experienced it how I think it should be, and then we always like, you know, reiterate and like, I'm getting feedback from this specific event from last night from a couple people here.
It was great.
And I'm always going to
Did
take
anybody
away
go?
something.
It was fire, wasn't it?
I'm always going to take something away from each conversation and, you know, remember it, whether it's like something I need to change or how it can be better even, you know? So, but yeah, I think I just always want to answer those questions so it's thorough from beginning to end. And then I hope that it translates as honest because I've thought of everything. And I think that's what's missing a lot of times is people fall short. They have a great idea, they don't follow through. It's just kind of, well, that's enough, good enough. But I think it should be very strict. No, you need to figure it all out, or as much as you can. It's almost like every space, like if you go into a restaurant, I always think of interior design as a set design. So it's just a world building thing that you're doing anyway. So if you know you're going to a fancy restaurant, you are the character, you're in your costume, you're going to dress up for this space. So you're just the character in this film and the set design. So hopefully everything else has been answered because you're not going to make a film just like halfway, like, all right, let's just start filming. I don't know who the rest of it, you know, the rest of the pieces, like.
Context.
Yeah. So just, yeah, I like to do it that way, just to try to be as thorough as I can.
I like that. Okay. Now, this next question is for Mo. In what ways does experiential design help you build community?
I think experiential design helps me build community by allowing me to storytell. I think that's one of the big things that I've been working on is trying to tell my true story and just the background of who I am and what my artwork means and trying to get a connection with my community. So I think it all ties in together. And then just beyond that, just, you know, making sure that, you know, I deliver through and through.
100%.
Yeah.
James, is community a big part of your works as well?
For sure. I think that it's one of the biggest driving points in what I do. I have a big family, And so like I'm used to like finding my place in something, you know what I mean? I'm a very good team player, you know what I mean? But as it relates to my practice, my overall practice, whether that's, on the art side of the boards, like developing, holistic art interventions that over time, like I was saying, like it can grow from youth engagement to developing something around, a shared experience, just bringing people together and like diving into like our collective vulnerability. Like that's actually the basis of my performance practice as an artist, and try to engage in vulnerability as a form of activism. And I feel like the more we do that in community, the more we understand each other, like the more we build our empathy, the more communicating we're doing in these type of spaces, like these safe spaces. And as far as on the design side of the boards, I just believe that, I don't collaborate a lot, but I'm hyper collaborative. I don't know if that makes sense.
You're open. Your name, your studio is open studio, right? Yeah, I like that.
But I think that there's so much power in like numbers.
100%.
And I think I'm also very particular. I think it's just the duality of my person, but like, I just think that it's so important for like folks to be heard. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that doesn't mean that I have the best idea in the room. That doesn't mean that you have the best idea in the room. That's just like, let's put it out there so we can actually like get something moving. Let's get something churning. Let's throw something on the wall, see what sticks. But I feel like through that, community is the through line. Like you have to allow yourself into a space. You have to let people into your space, and you have to find your space within that shared space. So
100%.
I think community is very important in that regard.
Okay, I like that. Those are good answers. Now we're gonna take a dark twist. Let's talk about AI. So we'll start here with you, Hailey. What are some ways that you are starting to incorporate AI in your design processes now?
AI is interesting in the architecture world right now because, we didn't have it when we were in school or early on in the design process. So with the design process before AI, it was kind of slow. A lot of money went into it, a lot of visions and things that you were thinking were hard to kind of incorporate, so a lot of time went into it. So AI has kind of brought a little bit of balance for us to storytell a little bit better, a little bit, explore other options, generate and show the client what their building could be. It does take away, I think the biggest fear, it would take away our jobs in terms of production, but I think there's still, that weird in between where you can tell when something's been AI'd or if it's a question or something like that. But in terms for our field and our design field, it's kind of helped us with just generating ideas really fast. Taking something that, is very hard to do in Photoshop and kind of just visually give you the options in those ways.
So it's like a good tool for you.
Yeah, it's easier to use it as a tool. I think, there's that underlying question of can it take, like I said earlier, our jobs, but I think there's a lack of humanism in AI. I think if you understand design and you understand products and you understand how they work, you can see that very quickly of like that lack. And so, like I said, it should be used as a tool, but I don't think it's the final solution at all.
Heard that. So anybody else use it currently in their design processes, getting a head start, trying to embrace it? Or is everybody scared of it?
No, I definitely use AI for mine. It just expands my, vision. You know what I mean?
I like that.
Be able to scale, bigger. But yeah, it does have that kind of like fakeness to it. Sometimes you just kind of gotta play around it. But for the most part, it helps me scale my visions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I like that. How does everybody else feel about AI? With a show of hands, who is embracing it and who thinks it should be thrown out? Who started with embracing it? You all are smart. Who thinks it should be thrown out?
You just couldn't go.
Okay. I think you're smart too. You know what I mean? There's no wrong answers in this. But it's something that is it's coming, and it's more than likely here to stay. Elaborate. Tell me more about your feelings.
To expound on that. So not fully do I think it should be thrown out, but I think that in the process of using AI as a tool, there's a level of, just like in our current process of designing, we have our own ethics that we have to play by that keeps those that we're designing for safe. AI, it doesn't have that human element of safety and distinguishing between what is right and what is wrong. So I think AI should not be thrown out, but it should only be used once we set proper boundaries in place to where it can be used ethically.
Heard. I like that. Safe AI. That's a vibe.
And I want to piggyback over what my brother said. I was at a conference a couple weeks ago, a design conference, and obviously it was a hot topic. But one of the things that I feel like we, as a collective, during the conference kept coming to is that, yes, it's coming. Yes, it's a really important tool that we can be using. But I think the individual, the human, has to understand their place with, not saying understand their place, but I guess reconsider their value proposition in the design process. And that was, I forget who said it, but it was just amazing the way they articulated it, because we can work in collaboration with it. We can use it just for efficiency. It's a lot of avenues that you can use it. I mean, obviously, like the job market will probably it's going to do what it's going to do. But as it relates to your personal proximity to AI, you could choose how close you want to be to it. Like I said, I'm a very analog person at heart, and everybody knows me like I'm a grandpa. You know what I mean? But like, I'm an adopter of things that are going to make what I do more impactful. And if that means me having more bandwidth to ideate and to do all the creative stuff, like, and pontificate, AI will help me really just condense some of that down and, cut through, because I can be very long-winded, you know what I'm saying? So being able to condense certain things down. But I will say, as it relates to like the safety and ethical part, one of the big things we were talking about at that conference was like the IP element of it. If it's just shooting things out, that is being informed by us, like I said, we have to understand our value proposition. So understand what you put into this thing, like you're making it stronger. Like I'm not going to use the what is it? What's the movie with Will Smith?
Oh, iRobot.
iRobot. I'm not going to use that because I don't want to project that. But like, the stronger you make it, the more of us you give it, the more heartbeat you give it. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be equipped with. So, use it in a way that you're not giving away your. And I know we have babies in here, but like you're not giving away your baby or like you think your brainchild. You know what I mean? So like, that's the way I use it. Like I use it for efficiency.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Lisa, chime in.
Well, sure. It's really just a refinement tool, is how I would say do that. So
This is a good
Just
buddy,
like-
another eye, to help you whittle down the vision, right?
And it's only as good as the prompt, you know what I mean? So
True.
I think everybody's like, oh, it'll just replace our jobs. Everybody can be a Spilsberg, but you really can't. I mean, Ralph Lauren has stores full of his clothes and nobody dresses like Ralph Lauren. Like, that's a very specific skill, so.
True. It's not replacing us yet. That's good. Now, I have a question from the AI for the panelists. It's crazy. They had a question for you all. So
Before you ask the question, how did you retrieve the question from AI?
I asked the AI ChatGPT 4.0 mini. I asked, what would you like to have the panelists, like, what would you like the panelists to answer for you all? Like, that was it. Like, I literally just said, what would you like to know from our panelists?
And did you input?
I said it was about it. I said we're doing a panel on experiential design, but that was literally it. I literally just said, what would you like to know?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. How much did
I gave it
the
very
prompt,
little
yeah, like,
information.
did you say?
That was ethically sourced?
Yeah, I wanted to see, what I get. I don't even know how you would address AI. Is it they or is it it's okay? Yeah, okay. It's sorry. I don't want to get it wrong and then they do something crazy later. But yeah, I just asked it what did it feel about our panelists. So here's what it said. Oh no, I should have made a slide for it. You're right. But here's the question. How do you balance artistic vision, accessibility, technology, and experiential design? And what challenges have you encountered when integrating these elements?
Yeah, it sounded like that came from AI.
Right? Anybody got some answers on that? That was a complex question.
My next prompt would have been make concise.
Yeah, right.
Condensed question.
And ironically enough, that was the concise. You know what I'm saying? Like the original question was even crazier than that.
Can you repeat it though? Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, sure. I'll repeat it one more time. How do you balance artistic vision, accessibility, and technology in experiential design? And what challenges have you encountered when integrating these elements?
I think, a big part of my role at Soho House is, putting on events. So, for example, the image you see here last night, we did a cocktail reception. We commissioned Lisa to do an installation for us at the Goat Farm in celebration of Atlanta Art Week. And, everything is an experience. Going to CVS and buying nasal spray, there's experiences all around. And so I think, very much to Lisa's point earlier, you're just really thinking about the user experience, the guest experience upon arrival. What are they looking at? What are they seeing? What's the vibe? What do you want to communicate to them? And you can always make it look sexy. You can always make it look good, it's a time and place. Like, you expect a certain aesthetic from your doctor's office. You expect a very different aesthetic from a place where you'll have an intimate dinner. And so it just really depends on the purpose behind it and what you want to communicate. And you just make it happen. And if you can't make it happen, then maybe you just table it and find a better alternative. But, kind of like Lisa said earlier, I think some people settle on good enough or want to just hit it in the middle. And then I think, that's where you just kind of start to plateau. So you really have to, identify the vision and stick to it or move on to the next vision, essentially.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well put, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Artistic vision, accessibility, technology, and it was something.
What are the challenges you've encountered when integrating these elements?
I think I try to solve problems for everybody, and then I get reminded that we don't all have the same experiences. We just share a lot of similar experiences. So I think that might, if I don't see it as a problem, just like Lisa was saying, about speaking to refinement, it's okay, what is the problem, and then who you got to figure out who has that problem so you can actually engage with them for the solution. You know what I'm saying? But I think what came to mind was the drawing sessions that I was telling that I mentioned earlier, and I look at that as an experience, and it has different parameters than if I was designing a chair. And I'm working on a new silhouette, a new collection, and just juxtaposing, those two things. It's two experiences, right? One is experiential, one is tactile, but the same kind of thinking goes into it. And I think trying to solve for everything. I think that, but that might just be me.
That's a lot of
just being
artists.
transparent is trying to do something that is going to make such a big impact. And I think when we try to make such a big impact, we actually end up not making as big of an impact that we want to make because we're trying to cast this wide net. You know what I'm saying? So There's always going to be, you know, if I'm designing a chair, you know, you think about accessibility, like not everybody's going to be able to engage in that experience. So, you know, it informs, okay, my world building that I'm doing within this series needs to have multiple components that, like, you know, if the chair isn't accessible, you know, the ottoman is. If, you know, the ottoman can't be engaged, there's an accessory to the ottoman that can be engaged. You know what I mean? So it's like this world building within it, but I guess like the refinement part is like the thing that I kind of run into is like, okay, I have this big idea and that might just be the artist in me, but then like when it comes to like design, I do have to continuously like refine so I get to like the solution.
Isn't that the art within itself is like what you just take out, you know? So I feel like that's like a, you know, a great thing that everyone has the challenge, you know, that they face, you know? But it's part of it. It's part of design.
I think you just have to do the best you can. And it's just remembering that no matter what you do, everyone's experiencing like a thing differently. Like everyone in this room right now is experiencing this panel differently. Yeah. Just like on a neurological level too. Like if someone, you know, has synesthesia or like sitting in this chair, or like if someone's on the spectrum and they, you know, like tactile features, you know, everything is just different. I would say even just all of us right now, you know, like I can't see. I
like that. That's a good thing
my
you just
contacts
said. It informs design, like just, but, you know, everyone's individual experience, like it informs their perspective of design. And, you know, like sometimes people have just different, you know, I don't want to say, it's like, is it neurodivergences or, but they create a lot of great perspectives. I, for one, am HSP. So a highly sensitive person, and in, you know, different rooms, different spaces, you know, I get disrupted pretty easily. So I know that, you know, I have to be more conscious of my surroundings, but it makes me more, you know, astute in some areas, but makes me like crazy in others. Has you all's experiences individually kind of informed your perspective of design? Like, do you all have kind of, you may call them quirks, I don't know, but they make for different, you know, aesthetics or different pieces of design. Does anyone have any interesting ones to share? You, sir.
So, yeah, it has been a primary focal point of my entire design theory and the spaces that I create and experiences that I create for people who may be searching for something similar, can't necessarily find it with ease, and something that is a little bit more of an alternative to the mainstream and the direction that perhaps people view society would be going.
I love that. It's brilliant, man. And yeah, you know, we've got to keep putting out new vibes out there, and they will resonate with someone, you know? And that brings me to kind of our wrap it up question here, you know? What do you hope, this is for everyone here, you know, on the panel, what do you hope to accomplish in the next 10 years? And what are some ways our extended community can help you all get there?
Can we start on that side?
Sure. Let's start on this side. Alex, we'll start with you.
As far as what I hope in the next 10 years?
Yeah.
I mean, I live a life of enjoyment. I think that's first and foremost. Like, at the end of the day, nothing is really that serious. All of these things that we talk about, you could say design saves lives if you want to be dramatic, but I mean, really, we have this life, this body, this experience, and so you just have to make the most of it. It's not about the thing you did or the party you threw. It's about like real memories, people you know, and I just kind of want people to remember that. I think we're starting to like over-intellectualize, overshare a little bit too much, and it's just like, it's not really that important, and it kind of takes away from the things that are. It's like, you should be proud of your work and share it. But I think people are just a little too serious. Just have fun. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna write a dissertation about every single thing.
No, that's fair.
So yeah, I just want people to have fun. And how you can help me do that? Have fun. Loosen up.
I like that. All right, Lise.
Okay, let's see, 10 years. I don't even know what my life is going to be like next year. But I would say, I mean, I'm not going to go too far off, but I just keep creating. But I mean, I have my path for sure. Like, I don't want to steer away from going into public art because I really like people interacting with my work, like all ages. So yeah, I just completed a sculpture recently that's pretty. It's an outdoor sculpture that you can jump on, play on, you know, interact with. So just building on that, just like working with scale and creating large scale pieces.
I like that. Okay, for me, I just want to see more cultural intersections. I feel like that's a thing that's missing in the South a great deal, and it's something that it's always made me feel better when there's a lot of people sharing in interesting experiences that are just fun. Like Alex said, you know, like this place has a lot of great people. It's just, you know, it could use some more great places. So that's what I would like to see more, and how you, the extended community, can help with that. It's just by going to more places, having more fun. Like that actually does do something for the bottom line to create more experiences. So don't get tired. Keep going out there and having fun. I know we almost did, baby.
For me, in the next couple of years, obviously I'm going to continue to pursue architecture, but one thing that when I came out of school that I studied and focused on was, and she mentioned it earlier, was like the third space. And kind of how our built environment and the phenomenologies of our built environment can kind of influence our mental health. And that was something that I was really passionate about in school, and I studied all the sensations of how we move through space, how we view color, how we view light, but also how that goes back to our communities, our people, and how there's a lack and sense of that for us. And that's been something I've always kind of, the reason why I go through or have trying to get the knowledge of what I need to do for my discipline, but I would like to eventually go to that. I know we did something similar to what we're doing now called Candid Conversations. And someone brought up how the West End, when you walk around the West End, every building has like a sharp corner. And he's like, why can't every building have like these softer corners, and why, what does that do for our community? What does that do for our mental health and how we start to see our built environment? So that's something I would like to continue to explore later on down the road as my passion project extended. And what you guys can do is continuing to put those words and those conversations out there, continue to question it, because like you said, we shouldn't have to always spend a bunch of money to have an experience, because it also limits us. It limits us in class and limits us in a lot of spaces, a lot of places. So that's something I would like to pursue later on down the road and continue that conversation.
Love it.
I think for me in the next decade, I definitely want to lean more into immersive experiences. I think that I'm kind of fairly new to achieving that right now. So just definitely in the next 10 years, kind of lean more into that. And then beyond that, with connecting with the community, just being able to grow, learn from the community, and then as well as just collaborate with other Atlanta artists in the community as well. I think there should be more collaboration. There's a lot of like-minded individuals, people you can learn from, and just overall grow.
Love that. What about you, sir?
I want to continue to further the conversation around sustainability. and how you all can help me, one, be mindful, and if you know anybody as far as like policy making and stuff like that, I guess like drop a note. But yeah, to condense it, just further the conversation around sustainability.
Okay, I love it. That is great, and I just wanted to, use this last opportunity to open up the floor to any questions that you might have had for our panelists. Anyone at all? You, sir, in the back. Let us know what you're feeling.
I appreciate the panel. My
Thank
name's
you.
Charles. I'm not a designer, but I'm very intrigued by design thinking. And so I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. I've noticed that it starts from like a practical design seems to start from like practicality or like substance and then evolves into like style and style and style. Have you found any instances to where it works better by starting with style and then working towards substance?
Can you say that word again? You said style?
Style. So starting from not a non-practical, starting from a stylistic point of view. Style. I'm sorry, style. S-T-Y-L-E.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? Style. Style and the
I like your
profile.
style, bro. That's a good way to say
I'm
that.
sorry,
You know
y'all.
what I mean?
Style.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. I think I always work backwards. Like the vision is the most important thing, and so then it's just how to make it happen and bring it into real life. So I think that's kind of how I always do it.
Yeah, I agree. I reverse engineered damn near everything. Yeah.
I'm the opposite. I have a very strict style, like personally for how I will like create something or design something. So I start with story first, always. Even if I have to make a fake client, that's what I do. Like just for whatever the project is, I'll make up a whole client profile, like a fake one, just to keep me on track.
I like that. I like vibes. I just like vibes, man. That's it for me. But yeah, I mean, this has been great. Oh, we got one more.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
I have a question.
What's up?
For each of you, what was the last place that architecturally just blew your mind, took you guys to a completely different space, and you just loved it?
Okay. Let's start over here.
I guess I'll just go with what popped into my mind first. My work takes me to DC a lot. I went to school in DC, and all of the museums are free, so you can just pop in and out. And the Renwick Gallery, I guess it's part of the architecture, but also, it is a gallery, and they have a lot of very interesting sculptural elements. And I just think the design of the building in general, the stairs. There's a Leo Villaria, beautiful chandelier when you first walk in. The flow of it naturally, it just kind of, again, the design of the space informs your experience. And so that's probably my most recent.
Mine is also in DC too then, Glenstone Museum. It's pretty much just all concrete, and I always do this when I go to a museum anyway. I'm a little bit more interested in the building, or at least I have to take in the building first, because like I mentioned before, contextually how the work sits in it, because you can have a beautiful piece of art in the wrong place, I think. So that to me is the sculpture, and then it houses other pieces in there, and it just works well together. Great building.
Okay. For me, I went to the Broad in LA, and that was really dope. The building is fire. it's like what you just said. Like the building itself made the art harder, and that was something that blew me away. So, what about you?
Mine, surprisingly, is not going to be as beautiful because I'm exposed to a lot of different architecture, so it goes through my mind. But I think recently, so what I work on now is sports design and architecture at my firm now, and it's my first year in it. And we recently did a tour of Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and so I think going a little bit more into like the user experience and how one building can kind of do so much and have so much programming. Not only is it making sure that hundreds of thousands of people are coming into the space and getting out, but enjoying the game. And while you're having that experience enjoying the game, the players are having another experience, the coaches are having another experience. And to see how all of that functionally comes together to make like one cohesive big game day. Letting you guys know I'm not a sports person before this. So for me, that kind of just blew my mind to see the beauty of what everyone kind of sees and how, like we talk about the experience all coming into one, but then thinking about each day how functionally that works. So it was nice to see like the event levels and then going up to the club level, but also seeing the everyday experience for the user and how that all intertwines. So that kind of blew my mind recently and how big it is, yeah. So.
I think for me, I don't think it wasn't recently, probably like 2 years ago, but I'm not a huge architectural guy, but I kind of know a little bit. But Frank Lloyd Wright's house in Buffalo, just the way it was designed, very linear, a lot of sharp corners, a lot of wood, and just hearing just the background and backstory on how he created it and the things that he did to kind of like even show spite to the rival designer across the street where he built like the front door to like look straight through his kitchen, his living room, just so you can see it, like just to kind of to show off or whatever. But just leaning into the design aspect of his work is really dope. And that was the last thing that I got a chance to witness.
I love it. I love spite design. Spite design is so fire to me. Yeah.
I feel like we see so many buildings every day. I think can be overstimulated. So like I'm probably just gonna go to like the last place I was like DC over the weekend for a gala, and it was like I used to be in DC every weekend doing work, and like I think being in DC again and kind of seeing how it's been changing, but like the wayfinding, like the streets and how that was designed. And I know it's like not the buildings, but like just moving through the buildings, I guess, if you will. Like how the wayfinding and the urban design was like to protect versus like to navigate. And it was just an interesting, like, I was walking and I wasn't driving myself, but like I was walking and then like, Ubers and whatnot. And it was just nice to see that, but like it was also like a very telling of the space that I was in. So yeah, I mean, space is, architecture is a discipline, yes, but like I think how Lisa was talking about like, things being situated in space. I'm an abstract artist, so like I'm always looking at shit like a little different, but like, but yeah, that was something that like, as far as like the built environment, like that was something I did take a notice of recently. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, I'm gonna do a little shameless plug time. We'll go around this, and that's a wrap. So, you sir, anything that you are, where can the people find you? What's happening next? Anything good?
You can find me, my website is byjameswilliams.co, just co, not .com. I am on social media. You can find me at, what is it? It's just find me and like I'll give it to you. Like I have Instagram, but like I'm not that active on it. But yeah, just find me before we leave. Let's connect. Let's rap. Let's chop it up. Appreciate y'all.
Perfect.
For me, my social is on Instagram, so at Umrani, which is UMRVNI. And what I have planned that I'm very excited for, I'm doing an activation for Art Basel on December 8th, I believe,
Nice.
7th or 8th one. I have to look
Very
at the
nice.
schedule, but we're doing an automotive, like immersive coffee shop type of theme. I actually just showed it just a couple slides ago, but we're collaborating with the coffee shop, and I'm really excited about that. So that's what I have to look forward to. Next slide. Yeah, so it'll be the renders.
Looks dope.
Yeah, so.
Okay. You miss.
You can find me on social media as well, Hailey_Wilk, also on LinkedIn. Also, I am part of a communication committee for NOMA Atlanta, which is the National Association of Minority Architects. We have another conversation coming up this week that you can see on the Atlanta Design Channel. And it's going to be based around, it's called Candid Conversations. It's a second conversation. It's about the Black and Brown experience in the design world. And so DDA, he's up here in the front. Him and I will be moderating it. And we'll be having it at TBS Design. Anyone's welcome in RSVP. So.
Perfect. Love it. Okay. We have one more event on the ADF calendar that I'm super excited about. We have it in our space, the Study by Residents. Argent is doing a great fall-winter 24 preview of their new collection, and it's in the space, a great immersive experience, so come check it out. You can find the ticket link on ADF's website, and come check us out, It's gonna be a great time.
I am only on IG. It's the Mona Lisa. I don't want to spell it for you. That's all it is. Just Lisa.
Boom. It's simple. It's short and sweet.
I have the photo that was up, the sculpture, the installation is actually going to be at site at the Goat Farm Art Center this weekend, Saturday. I think 5 to 11 is, there will be a bunch of other really cool installations there. But yeah, it'll be there if anyone wants to see it.
You can catch me around town, DC, Atlanta, Charleston, wherever. Soho House, Cities Without Houses, we activate quite regularly alongside creative and cultural moments. I'm here. We're kind of all throughout the city. We like to connect with creatives and just people doing really cool things. So you can connect with me anytime. My Instagram is AlexAllGood. Yeah.
Perfect. And thank you all so much for joining us. I want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to connect, make a new friend, and get some refreshments on your way. You know what I mean? And let's have a little fun. You know what I mean? Thank you all.